Oakland has gone from a community at play to a community at home. These are the stories and experiences of our Oakland residents while we are all home alone, but still in this together.
My name is Carolyn Russell, and I'm the Executive Director of A Safe Place.
Can you tell me who A Safe Place serves and how many shelters you're now operating in Oakland?
We serve victims and survivors of mental and physical abuse, and we are a nonprofit organization. We have one shelter. We are the only actually domestic violence shelter exclusively for victims and survivors of domestic violence. So we're pretty much the only domestic violence shelter in Oakland.
What were the thoughts that you and your staff had when you heard about the shelter-in-place order?
Well, I think our immediate concern, because we do have two locations, we have a community center and we have a shelter. And of course, people live at the shelter. And it's a 24-hour facility, 7 days a week. And we basically wanted to see how we could shelter in place in a very safe way, not only for clients, but for staff. So we basically did some amazing work assessing how staff could work safely in the house with clients, how clients could operate in a safe distancing way with other clients. And so we have protocols in place in our shelter, and we had to create those protocols almost immediately and making sure that everyone felt safe. And how we were able to do that, we do have a lovely home that serves as our shelter, and it's large enough so that we can have clients practice social distancing. It does, minimize what we're able to do in terms of bringing in some families. We've had to really look at our motel program, which is another program we have, and we are housing families in the motel as we speak.
And how has it impacted your agency, the COVID-19 and the pandemic and shelter in place? Are you seeing increased calls?
Well, we do have a community center, and that is another aspect of our program. We have a community center, which is a non-confidential location where clients come for services. We have a mental health program at our community center. We have a teen dating violence prevention program. We have weekly support groups. Our non-confidential location was established to assist women who may not need shelter, but maybe in a domestic violence abusive situation. So one of the things we had to do at our community center was create ways in which clients could continue to receive services, such as legal services, case management, clinical mental health services. So those services started to be provided by video conferencing to make sure that we continue to make contact with our clients, particularly our mental health clients. So with our community center, we have actually closed in terms of people coming to the community center, and they're receiving those services through video conferencing. So major changes in the way we had to pivot services and make sure people were being cared of.
How has the pandemic impacted victims who are wanting to leave abusive homes?
While we are getting calls, I would not say that calls have tripled or doubled. Remember, most people who are in abusive homes tend to make those calls when the abuser leaves, either work, going to other types of outings. And because of this shelter in place, it's really created an atmosphere where everyone is locked down and they're locked down together. So we know domestic violence is occurring. We believe that it is. We believe there are a lot of things are occurring. We believe incest is occurring and child abuse, but we also recognize that some survivors and victims are choosing to stay the course as best that they can. Because there's so much unknown.
If someone needed help, how can they access your services?
Our crisis line, 536-SAFE, 536-7233, is available 24/7. We have domestic violence counselors who are available to speak with anyone. One of the things we are looking at doing is how we can get victims to contact us safely, and it could be through texting. That's another innovative way we're looking at creating a way in which victims can reach out. Some victims are reaching out via our website because people can't actually talk sometimes because the abuser may be in the home. So we do have some communication through our website from victims and survivors. So creating those ways in which people can reach out. It's not the normal way of reaching out.
In my mind, I often think of women's shelters. Do you service men and women in your program?
Yes, we started serving male victims many years ago, recognizing that men are also victims of domestic violence. And yes, we do service male victims. We serve them in our interim motel program. They do not come into the shelter with the women. And we also have male victims who come to our community center for mental health services. So yes, we do have a high percentage of male victims that are serviced either through our mental health program or through our interim shelter program, men with children who have been victimized. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Carolyn, do you have anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about?
I'll talk a little bit about how we recently turned our attention to women in the criminal justice system, and we were successful in getting a grant, a reentry grant, to work with women post-incarceration who have experienced domestic violence, and we now have that program. And so it's an excellent opportunity to work with those women post-incarceration and working with them, providing mental health services, safe shelter, and a number of other services that women need. So we're happy to have that program because we do recognize that we have victims who are sometimes re-victimized through the criminal justice system. And so we are happy to work with those women as well.
Carolyn, thanks for talking to us today and for all the hard work that you do to create a safe place for people during this unprecedented time.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for giving us this opportunity.
During this shelter in place, are you safe? A Safe Place's doors remain open to offer services to survivors of domestic violence and those in need of shelter, therapy, and legal assistance. If you need a safe place, please call our crisis line at 510-536-7233. That's 510-536-7233. And stay safe.